Hey there, traders, and welcome back for episode 58 from the StockBandit.tv. I'm always glad that you made it. Now, hopefully you made some dough today in spite of it being a Fed day, because historically these have been very quiet, choppy days until after the announcement. But, we did see quite a move ahead of the news today with some pretty big strength surfacing early. Obviously, that did lead to some profit taking late in the day, but it certainly was a little bit different of a Fed day. So, moving on to the topic of this episode, one thing I want to cover is in relation to something that I get asked about quite often by newer members of the premium videos over at thestockbandit.com, which is, do you wait until a certain time to take trades, or do you just take them when they trigger? And this is generally in relation to day trades. Some people like to implement like a 5-minute rule, or maybe a 15 or 20-minute rule, to where they want to wait until the first few minutes of the day have already passed before they start placing trades. The thought behind that is, sometimes there is a lot of, noise that happens early in the day. So for me, my answer to that question is always the same, which is no, I do not wait. And the reason for that is twofold. First of all, I've found that the best trades really tend to take off initially without ever looking back. And that isn't to say that all the good trades do that, because some good trades do start off a little bit sluggish and then get moving. But the best trades tend to stomp on the gas pedal, and they jump into that left lane and they just cruise. The second reason that I don't wait is really based in the first reason, in that if the best trades bolt quickly, then the risk is one that I feel is worth taking. And yes, there is a little bit of noise right after the market opens, and that's going to mean that sometimes I do get quickly stopped out of trades. But so long as I manage my risk accordingly and keep it pretty tight, especially on the day trades, again, that's what I'm referring to, then the risk is one that I'm willing to take in order to catch those trades, which end up just rocketing out of the gates, and they make up for many of those small losses which resulted from the quick stop outs. So, there were a couple of examples today which took place, and these came from the premium video last night at thestockbandit.com. So let me show you what I mean. We'll just kind of run through a few of these. The first one was Boyd Gaming, BYD. This one I pointed out last night as a stock with a lot of recent momentum, and instead of really pulling back, it just moved sideways for a couple of days. So I mentioned this one could get on the move if it could make a new high, and it did that today, and it really provided a great move. Now, if we shift on over to the intraday chart, this stock cleared the 820 buy point very quickly early on in the day, and it did take a little bit, a few minutes for it to get going, but once it got in gear, it took off and ran. And this first move was great. It never came back down and tested this $8 area that was so important yesterday. But ultimately, this stock moved $1 higher. It topped out at 920 after an 820 buy point. So, excellent move there today, in spite of the fact that that early push was a little bit head fakey. But it offered a great move to profit from today. Another one was WGOV, and I'll shift back over to the daily chart. This one had run up very quickly, had been basing here for the last few days, and then gave a great breakout today. Now on the intraday chart, here again, this one triggered on the opening bar of the day, and it climbed. It cleared yesterday's highs and broke out right here, and this thing just climbed very steadily all day. This one obviously moved about $1.70 above that trigger price, and so this 1915 entry point right there obviously proved to be a great spot to get long this stock, and it ran for several hours before backing off a little bit later in the day. And so that was a great stock which offered numerous places to book gains along the way. Now, one other stock that I did want to point out, just for purposes of example, I actually did not take this one. This is SICJ, and I had a trigger price structured right there for this stock, but it gapped about 5 cents through that. So I skipped this trade because it gapped above my trigger price. But here again, excellent move here. This stock ran very big, and obviously this first move right here was about 30 minutes in duration, and it was just solid green, basically straight up from there. Once again, emphasizing that the best trades jump on the gas and they stay on it and they just keep on running. That rarely do they turn around and give you a second chance entry. So any of these obviously would have been enough to make your day, but you had to be in them to participate. And that means if you skipped early in the day or you implemented one of those 5 or 15 minute rules, you probably would have skipped these trades. And so if you're trying to decide whether or not you're going to implement some kind of a hands-off time frame for your trading early in the session, keep in mind that the best trades will oftentimes trigger without ever turning back to offer a second chance entry. Either you're on board or you're on the sidelines watching and wishing. All right? Thanks for joining me for another episode, and I will be back soon with more videos. But in the meantime, trade like a bandit.